Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. Let's kick off Christmas week here with a great trip report. Our friend Andrew from Utah is back on the show to share a fun trip. And it's perfect for this week because this is a trip that started as a Christmas gift for the family. That's right. It was under the tree because he has some older kids. And instead of a bunch of smaller gifts, they got a few gifts under the tree. But the big one was a collective trip to Walt Disney World later that year. They headed down to Pop Century, spent some time in the theme parks, went to Typhoon Lagoon for the first time, took advantage of that free water park day upon arrival. They took the red eye from Utah to Florida, so we talked about that. That's something. And I talked about some great meals, Steakhouse 71, Topolino's, and more. It's a great trip report. Andrew really gives some perspective on being a Disneyland family, but going to Walt Disney World and so forth. Lots of fun Disney talk on today's show. Don't forget today's podcast brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney vacation for no additional cost to you. Get first-class concierge level service each and every time. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you do that online shopping all year. It works and it helps support the show with every purchase. beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And finally, a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters. You guys keep us on the air, so a huge shout out to each and every one of you. You can support us as well. It's just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd sure love to have you. Patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2817 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope you're having a great start to your week. And it's a short week, unless you're one of the elves up in the North Pole where they are putting in the overtime and getting ready for the big man's big run later this week. So all the kids listening to the show as you are running around town, last chance to be good. You got to get on that good list, the nice list. If you haven't got on the nice list by now, time's running out. You better do something special this week around the house. I'm just saying, the big man's always watching. Got to be good. So I'm just saying, time is a ticking. Santa's going to be loading up that sleigh here in a mere few hours. But we're going to get you ready as you run those errands, make those Christmas cookies, and, go around town this week, maybe over the hills and through the woods to grandmother's house, wherever it is. We're going to get you there with a fun trip report today. And we're headed out to one of the most beautiful places in our country, Utah, with our friend Andrew. Andrew, thanks for coming on the show today. Happy Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. How you doing?
Thanks, Mike. Happy holidays to you as well. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here. And how are things this time of year out in Utah? I know it's been warm here in the most parts of the state and at the states, and think the same out west.
Yeah, it's crazy. Really dry and really warm, which is unusual for December. And it looks like in the forecast we might have some rain leading up to Christmas, but no snow. So it looks like we may not have a white Christmas this year. But as long as we get snow in the mountains and I can ski later, that's okay.
Yeah, so how far are you guys from the mountains? You guys get to, because I've never gotten to visit Utah, which I really want to do someday. I mean, what is the proximity for you guys? And is it something you get to do pretty easily? What's it like out there?
Yeah, so from our house to the little Cottonwood Canyon resorts, which is where we usually go, from door to door, it's less than an hour. So it's really convenient. If you lived up north of where we live, closer to Salt Lake, you can get to the resorts in 20 to 30 minutes. That's what's nice about the proximity of ski resorts in Utah, is how closely are to kind of the Wasatch Front corridor, which is the metropolitan area there. I know, like in Colorado, you have to a little farther, maybe an hour and a half. But Utah, between those resorts and Park City, you have probably 5 or 6 really world-class resorts within an hour's drive, which makes it really nice.
Nice. I'll give you a fun fact here that I live. You'll crack up about this because this is kind of a joke. The Be Our Guest podcast studios are about 20 minutes away from a ski resort here. But it's not a world-class ski resort. What it is, it's a golf course in the summertime. And then once it gets cold, they have snow machines. They just shoot some snow on the golf course. And they have about 7 runs. Now, you would laugh at these because it's not a mountain. It's just a hilly golf course. But it's called Hidden Valley. And it's been there ever since I was in high school, because the big thing where I used to work when I was in high school, if you ever listen to Mike in the Midwest kind of talk about this place, I worked at a skating rink, and our owner would like every year take our staff for our work Christmas party. We would get a day ski pass to Hidden Valley, which was expensive. I mean, for high school kids, because like skiing's not cheap, to get the lift pass and to rent. None of us had skis, obviously. We're from Missouri, so you had to get the equipment. He'd give us money for food at the lodge. I mean, he did us up right. Ron was a good guy. And then that night we'd go out for pizza at the nice pizza place in town. I mean, we did it all that day, and so they put snow on this golf course. It had like 6 or 7 runs, a couple ski chair lifts, and then they had like a magic carpet thing where you just held onto a rope and you put your skis on this kind of mat thing, and it just dragged you up a smaller like bunny hill. But yeah, I mean, 20 minutes away. Now I'll tell you what though, and people swear by this because our weather lady was talking about this because she's originally from California out in the mountains, and she's obviously moved to St. Louis to do the weather. And she says that skiing out at Hidden Valley is 10 times harder and 10 times more dangerous than skiing out in the mountains out west. She says because it's like going down in an ice rink, because it's that artificial snow that they just throw, the snow machines throw it up, and then it just kind of goes right there on these pretty steep hills, and they're not super long. They're just really high, and they're just tall and steep and shoot you down by the lodge. But yeah, we do have a kind of a fake it's not a ski resort. It's just a golf course with some hills, but we think we're skiers here in St. Louis by going to Hidden Valley a couple times a year. And I used to take my 6th graders every year. I took my 6th grade class. That was a class reward. I took my kids every year, and it was hilarious to see 6th graders try to ski. Oh my god. That's
great to have something that close in Missouri. And even if it's just a few runs,
it was fun. Yeah, taking my 6th graders I took my 6th graders roller skating and skiing every year. They usually couldn't skate, and they sure couldn't ski. But it was a great time because I got them exposure. But there were some wicked wrecks. But I think it was more it was more for my entertainment than theirs. They still talk about it on Facebook. They'll email me every year, be like, Mr. Rallman, remember when you took us skiing? I still can't feel my knee. It's been 22 years. Like, hey, so man, we tried. Anyway, so let's jump into your trip, which that's why we're here. We're not talking skiing, even though it is kind of fun. Tell us about how this trip came together, because it's kind of interesting. Christmas week. This was actually kind of has a little tie into Christmas we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. So last year, 2024, we took our kids on a trip in the summer. Actually, it was a Royal Caribbean cruise. It was just a short cruise to Mexico. And just to give you some perspective, my kids are like young adults. So my oldest is 24 now. My youngest is 16. So when I say kids, they're actually, young adults. But
I feel you.
A year ago in the summer, we went on this cruise, and it was a short cruise, but we had an amazing time. We had so much fun. So as we're gearing up in the fall last year, my wife and I were talking about Christmas. She actually had the idea. She said, we had such a great time. Let's do a trip as opposed to just giving them a ton of presents. And so I said, what if we did Disney World? And she loved the idea. So we kind of planned on that. We decreased the number of presents we'd normally give our kids, and we decided to do a trip. And we gave the trip to them, even though our trip wasn't until August of this past year, August 2025. We gave them the Disney World trip as part of their Christmas at the end of 2024. And they had something to look forward to the whole year, and they were so excited when they opened it up. They just were a big Disney park family. Disneyland is more of our home park. We visit that, quite a bit. We don't get to Disney World very often, and we love it there. And so they were obviously very, very excited that they opened up a trip to go to Disney World later in the summer. That it was also something they could look forward to throughout the whole year. So even though they got the present at Christmas, they spent a lot of 2025 looking forward to the trip and planning it.
I love that. Yeah, I love that on so many levels. They got to kind of mutually to probably talk about it, plan together, think about it together. Was it a total surprise on Christmas morning or Christmas Eve when you told them, or
Yeah.
what was the reveal like?
Yeah, it was. So the reveal was, my wife and I kind of put together some things to give them as far as presents go. So we gave them like portable fans because we're going in August. We gave them a new piece of luggage, or a new backpack, actually, a really, really good backpack they could take on the plane. And then one of the last things we gave them was, if you remember Flight of Passage, the big thing, in that is Sivako, or, rise to the challenge. And so I had like a luggage tag that had, the doctor from Flight of Passage that said Sivako, rise to the challenge. And then you flip it to the back and it had an itinerary for the days we're going to be there and the potential itinerary. And so that was the last present they opened. They had some ideas as they opened up the other stuff that it was a trip. And then the last thing was it's a trip to Disney World, and they were super excited. So
I love this. So this is a great idea. And this is a great show for this week because, I mean, this is exactly, everybody's going to be looking under that tree in a couple of days now, like, oh my gosh, is it happening? Everybody, unless you put a trip under the tree, don't pack a luggage tag. Just saying, you'll get everybody's hopes up. Andrew's got us thinking here. So just be careful. So let me tell you. So you said you had kind of an itinerary plan. So how many details did you have nailed down? I mean, obviously you probably had like a resort lined up and dates and so forth, but because you probably wanted to give some input to the kids. Like, where was that balance in how much you had like open and how much was nailed down?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we did have our reservation, thanks to you. So appreciate the work you put in, Mike, to get us all booked up. And so we had Pop Century planned, and 4 one-day tickets. And we weren't sure exactly what days we were going to go to the parks, but I had an idea of what we wanted to do. But that actually kind of changed as we got closer to the trip. So we had those basics down, and we had to pick that week in August because my oldest daughter is a 4th grade teacher. Mm-hmm. And we had some other trips planned in the summer. Plus my son plays soccer and had some commitments with his team during the summer. That was the only time we could go. So the only things really set in stone were the week we were going. We were staying at Pop Century. We had our package, we had our tickets. And then, I started getting ideas from them on dining. And then as we got closer, we really nailed down, especially with our dining reservations, what days would be at each park. But I did give some input to them. They did, I bounced some ideas off of them. They do trust me a lot. I love the planning aspect of Disney World trips and Disneyland trips. So they trust my taste, and I'll just say, hey kids, this is what I have planned, and this is what I have for restaurants. And they usually are all in. But it was fun throughout those 9 months or 8 months as we got closer with each milestone, as we got closer to making our dine reservations and preparing for, also the lightning lanes with 7 days in advance. All those were really, really fun milestones to hit. And we just got really excited doing it. That's
what I was going to say, because I've seen on social media over the past couple of months leading up to the holiday season where, obviously I'm a parent, so those kind of messages hit my Instagram, my Facebook feed, and there were a couple of things that were like, what they would ask kids, like, what did you get for Christmas last year? And the kids couldn't remember, name 2 gifts you got under the tree last year. And the kids like, I can't remember one gift I got last year under the Christmas tree. And with travel, like, they're going to remember a trip that they took with their family last year. And I like the idea that with it, it'd be great to go. I mean, everybody'd say, oh man, it'd be awesome to go like in 2 weeks. Right. But with it being August, you get all that lead time to talk about that anticipation, which is, it's like there's a positive and a negative, right? I mean, it's like it's dreadful because you got to wait so long, but it makes the overall experience that more fun because, like you say, 60 days out, you get to plan some dining, 7 days out, lightning lanes. And even before that, it's all the possibilities of, hey, we could do this. What if we did some mini golf, or what if we maybe talked about doing a water park on arrival day or what have you. And that is part of the experience, and it's that joy that you can have as a family, over dinner at Chili's one night. That's the topic of the conversation, what have you, because it makes the experience more than just 6 days or 5 days. It makes it a whole, 6-month experience. So you kind of felt that. That's how I look at things, especially like cruises and Walt Disney World trips, even Disneyland trips for me, because it's further out. Like I talk about them every night at dinner. So it's not just 7 days or 5 days or a weekend. It's a 6-month experience for me many times.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like you said, it's hard even to look back and say, hey, what did I get for Christmas last year? Like you said, the tangible things. But with the trip, you're really making memories. And we had so much fun on that cruise we went on. We really thought, hey, this is what it's all about, is making memories and creating these moments for a family to continue to bond and to remain close. And we can't think of a better way to do that than going to a Disney park. And like you said, it really did kind of carry that gift from the time they opened it through the whole year. I mean, we were so excited for the trip, and the planning and everything made the gift, so to speak, last longer than just, Christmas Day and a few days after.
That's hard to do with gifts, especially with kids. It's hard to, and here's the thing too, and I'll say this, and I mean, you totally get this because we have kids of near the same age, and, Scott does too. And when you have kids, as they get older, that time that you get to spend together shrinks, and it becomes so much more precious as you have kids that are in select sports, or kids that are going away to school, or kids that have careers. It gets so difficult to be able to have quality time together. I think Paul from the clubhouse, he talked about this when he was on the show not too long ago. It's that quality time where you get to spend time. You're disconnected from work. You're disconnected from your team commitments, which I'm all about team. I want my kids when they're on in a sport, you give everything to your team. You're a good teammate. But when you have that dead week or what have you from your sport, that's where you can dedicate it to your family and be, just be a kid or just be a part of your family. And I think that's where you make those special memories, but as the kids get older, when they're 3 and 4 and 6, you could do it anytime. But I mean, like you said, you had a week and you got to take advantage of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we were talking before the call started, I have a son that just got engaged. And so there's changes in our lives right now. And so being able to capture that moment in August of 2025, we're all together at Disney World, will be something that we'll always remember and we'll always have. So we're glad we have it.
So let's talk about the trip. So how's travel across the country from Utah? Do you guys have any issues with that, or any tips for, cross country travel and getting the crew all there?
Well, interesting you say that. So we took a red eye from Utah and that was somewhat planned out. We really wanted to take advantage of the water park day, and we've done red eyes to Orlando before, and our families actually handled it pretty well. I know red eyes aren't the best for everybody, but the nice thing about a red eye is it gets you in early that day. And for us, as soon as they introduced that free water park day, none of us had ever been to a water park at Disney World before. So we're going to totally take advantage of that, even if we're a little bit wiped out from that overnight trip. And so it also gets you, rarely when we've had red eyes, rarely do we have a lot of delays, right? You don't get into, and it was a straight shot, right? We didn't have a connecting flight. So it was direct from Salt Lake City to Orlando, which was good. And I always try and do that now. We've had bad luck a couple of times in the past where we had a connector and dealt with some bad weather in Dallas or Atlanta or whatever. So we try and go direct whenever we go to Orlando as much as we can. But having that red eye and getting there and getting to our resort, and kudos to Pop Century. And I'll just shout out to Tony there at Pop Century. We walked in at 5:30 in the morning, 6 in the morning. She was there with her little iPad waiting for us, got us a room. We didn't have to wait for a room. We were able to get there, get settled, unpacked, and then head to the water park. And it was great. And so to answer your question, yeah, direct flight, red eye isn't bad for us. And it went smooth.
Okay. So I've never taken a red eye because, again, I think that is one of the joys of being where I live in the central time zone. I mean, I'm dead in the middle of the country, right? So if I go to Disneyland, it's halfway to the West Coast. It's halfway to Walt Disney World. I could take a red eye, but I've never have. And I've just kind of new to flying anyway, because I was scared to death to fly for half my life. So you obviously, I know what a red eye is, but so you guys did not sleep? Did you sleep on the plane? Or because going to a water park in Florida is exhausting.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to figure out how this whole first day unfolded, because like I'm tired thinking, because you're saying you checked in at 5:30 and went to Typhoon, like you were there at 5:30 and then you went to Typhoon Lagoon. I'm like, oh, wait a second. Like I just,
Yeah.
because I read the notes, but I didn't put it, like my brain didn't put this together. Now I'm thinking, last thing I'd want to do is go to Typhoon Lagoon. Like I
that's
love the
true.
idea of going there, but holy exhaustion.
We're kind of an unusual case. So we left Salt Lake at about 11:30, I think 11:30 p.m. And then as you go east, you actually lose hours, right? And so if it was a 4 or 5 hour flight, Utah time when we landed was probably like 3:30, 4:30 in the morning, and it was like, no, yeah, it would have been 3:30 Utah time, 5:30.
Okay.
I think we landed, Mike, to be honest with you, I think we landed at 5:30, got our luggage, got our Uber, and I think we probably arrived at Pop Century around 6:30. Would have been 4:30 a.m. Utah. So I will tell you, I think some of the family were able to get 2 or 3 hours of sleep on the plane.
Okay.
I can't remember if I did or not, but I will tell you this. We don't go to Disney World very often, and my kids were so excited to go that nothing was going to keep them from doing that first day. And so they showed throughout the entire trip, they showed amazing resilience. But that first day, we got set. We were able to lay down for a little while in our rooms and get settled and then head to the water park. I didn't see any fatigue or any of them.
You have some troopers. You have a crew, and you're right. It is that whole, like that old commercial, right? I'm too excited to sleep kind of thing, and we all get that the night before we're going. Every time I'm getting ready to go to Marathon Weekend, I've done it, 12 times at this point. I still get excited every year the night before I can't sleep, and you're going to Walt Disney World, you're going to Disneyland. It's always fun. It doesn't matter how many times you go, you still get that. But I mean, especially you're going down there, you don't get to go as often. But man, that's power. I like it. So you said you had a terrific time at Typhoon. Your first time at a water park too. So what's your review of Typhoon?
We loved it. So obviously, with us being that early to the resort, we were able to get there really, really soon and rope drop Typhoon. So we rope dropped Typhoon, which was really helpful because, and I want to give a shout out to Jason in the Discord. He actually drew me a map. He sent me through the Discord a map of Typhoon Lagoon as to the best place to camp out, to set up your stuff. So he actually had a map and drew a line with a pen where to go. And so I knew exactly where to go. And it was a great spot to the right of the wave pool and very, very close to Crush and Gusher. So all the big major slides. So it was a good place to settle, be close to the wave pool, but also close to the big stuff. And so we were able to go on, Crush and Gusher several times before there were even big lines. And so, and then we went to some other slides, and then that wave pool was insane. We had so much fun in that wave pool. I couldn't believe it. And, but the thing that makes Typhoon Lagoon great, and, Disney in general, and one of these times we'll try Blizzard Beach, is the theming is so well done. I mean, I think about the water parks I go to out here, and, they're run down. You get that old water mildewy smell, and that's just nothing compared to what Disney does. And so the theming was off the charts. The slides were great. The wave pool was incredible, and it was a great way to start the trip. I want to tell the listeners who are thinking about going next summer to take advantage of that free water park day, because we really loved it.
I love that. You're right. I haven't been to a water park in years, and I need to get back because I'm not really a big pool person. I'm not a big swimmer, but they are so much fun. And you're right. The theming, when they built those water parks, that was kind of peak theme. When Disney was building, I mean, the themes are over the top at Typhoon and Blizzard Beach. It's crazy. And if you like the theming in the theme parks, oh my gosh, you got to go to both Blizzard Beach and Typhoon Lagoon. You didn't sacrifice any sunglasses or even any kids to the wave pool. I mean, there were times Paige, because Paige was a skinny little kid when she's still kind of skinny, but back then, man, she was just a beam pole when she was like 7 or 8, little soccer player. That wave, that honk, and that wave would come. I mean, I didn't know where she was. Like, it took me 5 minutes to find her, and I was trying to hold her hand. Like, that thing's crazy.
It is crazy. We did lose a magic band, but it wasn't in the wave pool. It was in the lazy river. And that lazy river is insane. It took us it takes a half hour to do the whole loop. You go through all the different sections of the park. So bummer we lost my son's magic band. He was able to use a key card the rest of the trip. They eventually found it and sent it to us after we got home. But that was the one casualty from our day at Typhoon Lagoon. But the day was so great, didn't matter.
Good stuff. So is that all you did on that first day though? Hopefully you didn't push it, or what else did you, anything else that day? Because
yeah, so we ended up leaving, I think 3 or 4 o'clock, went back to Pop Century and relaxed. We needed it, right? And then we went to Primo Piatto at the Riviera. And that's one of the great things about staying at Pop Century is you're on the Skyliner. You can take advantage of these amazing restaurants. And so we love Primo Piatto. We went there for dinner, and then we had an ADR at Beaches and Cream that night to get ice cream. So we took the Skyliner from Riviera to Beach Club and kind of celebrate our first night there by getting Beaches and Cream. And then we headed back and crashed.
Oh, okay, so you're killing it that first day though. Water park, Primo Piatto, Beaches and Cream. You're killing me though here because I just switched from Caribbean Beach for Marathon Weekend to French Quarter. Saved $200, and I couldn't decide between the two. I've been at Caribbean Beach for like months, and I saw a deal. I switched over to French Quarter for Marathon Weekend just because the small resort. I'm doing dopey. I'm too old for this stuff, and I'm trying to save some steps because I'm scared I'll get far from a bus stop. It's only got one bus stop at French Quarter, so I just changed. But now you got me. Now you said Primo Piatto, and now I'm regretting my choice again because I love Primo Piatto and I love the Skyliner. Now I'm like, oh, what did I do? I might have to change it back after the show.
You know what's funny is we have a neighbor who every time she goes to French Quarter, and she swears by it.
Oh,
she goes 2 or 3 times a year, and she says I go to French Quarter every time. So I think it's great as you can't go wrong, right? And you love Coronado. I hear you and Mike.
I do.
You and Scotty talking about that a lot. So. And I've never tried Coronado or French Quarter, so one of these times I'll get there. But we love being on the Skyliner, and given that it was kind of like a trip, we don't visit very often. We just tried to make as much happen in the time we had, and that worked out really good for us.
No, I would be a Coronado, but I waited too long and it was full. See, your travel agent sometimes doesn't book for themselves. I do have a book for everybody else, and I'm like, I'll get to my own stuff later. And I waited. Later was too long for me. Real quick, what do you guys think about? What did the family think about Pop Century? Because value resort, but I mean, it's got a lot of energy. The Skyliner is super convenient. I love the food court there. What did everybody think?
We really liked it. So we'd stayed at Pop Century one other time, maybe 12 years ago. We stayed at Pop, and a lot of my kids have forgotten about it, right? But it offers a lot, and with our family, it worked out really good to just have 2 interconnecting rooms. You have 4 beds and 2 bathrooms. It was actually cheaper for us to do that than get a family suite at Art of Animation, which has, I think, 3 beds and 2 bathrooms. So if you're looking for bed space, it actually worked out really well for us. And we originally wanted, we'd requested to get a building closer to the Skyliner and closer to the main hub, right, with the Everything Pop. But they were able to get us into a room sooner. It just was farther away. I think we're in the 80s section. But we didn't mind. It was actually a little more quiet. And we're right there by the computer pool. Mm-hmm. And, like I said, I didn't have little kids. I'm not pushing a stroller. They're all active, young adults. And so we don't mind the extra walk to the Skyliner. And it worked out really, really well. But the rooms were clean. The beds were super comfortable, especially the way we hit the parks hard every day. I mean, we would just crash whenever we got home and went to bed. Those beds were so nice. And it worked out well for our family. So, yeah, we really enjoyed Pop.
Yeah, the harder you go in the parks, the more comfortable the beds are, no matter what. That's right. That's what I see. After the marathon, I'd sleep on a plank of wood. And I'd be like, oh, man, it's the best bed I've ever slept on. Okay, so let's talk about time in the theme parks. We don't have to go sequentially, but I mean, we can. I mean, you guys visited all the parks. You used Lightning Lane. So just looking back, give us some highlights. I mean, maybe favorite theme park, best moments. Like what did your family like the best when it came to the theme park?
Yeah. So one of the reasons why we wanted to do this trip is that it's been, my wife and I have been to Disney World recently, but our kids haven't been for a few years. There's a lot of new stuff they wanted to try out. They'd never been on Guardians. They'd never been on Tron or Remy. And so those were obviously, ones that we really wanted to hit. But overall, we had great experiences in the parks. We did, I think we had one park per day tickets. And we did 2 days at Magic Kingdom, one day at Animal Kingdom and one day at Hollywood Studios, and then I'll talk about the Epcot experience a little later with the after hours event. But our days in the parks were fantastic. Hollywood Studio, every park day we would rope drop, and I can't emphasize that enough. Especially, I listen to these amazing trip reports for people who travel often, are able to really relax and take a lot of off days. And that unfortunately, that wasn't our trip. We really wanted to take advantage and get there at rope drop and stay till park closing nearly every day. And the good thing is we've done it enough and done enough research to know how to take as much advantage out of rope dropping and then utilizing Lightning Lane multi-pass as much as we could. So, our first day was at Hollywood Studios. I won't go into a lot of detail, but we were able to get on the rides we loved multiple times. We were able to rope drop Rise of the Resistance, which I know is usually a 50-50 proposition. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's open, sometimes it's not, but luckily it was open for us. We were able to walk onto that. One of our favorite rides in that park is Tower of Terror, and we probably made it on that 4 or 5 times throughout the course of the day, either through rope drop and through Lightning Lane and just kind of keeping an eye on it. The one that was a little bit tricky was Slinky Dog. We had a Lightning Lane for that, but it went down because of lightning, so we had to kind of wait out the lightning for that. And we luckily were eating at Woody's when they reopened it, so we were able to run over and get that. So we had some moments there of good fortune. But I will tell you this, I want to just do a shout out to some of the entertainment at Hollywood Studios. We love the villain show. That was a lot of fun. And I have to say that Frozen show,
yes,
with the what do you call them, the travel
I don't know. I love that. Yeah, I go by myself at Marathon Weekend. Yeah, and I go to the show. Like, I have no kids.
We were laughing so hard. They were fantastic.
Yes.
And my daughter, my 19-year-old daughter, still to this day talks about how much she loved that Frozen show. They wanted to go back and see it again. They were hilarious. They were so funny and so great. And obviously you have the air conditioning. You have the snow at the end. And so that was a lot of fun. The Indiana show, as old as it is, it still delivers. And then
Classic.
we got on Fantasmic, and we did the second showing of Fantasmic, and actually they canceled the first showing because of weather. So we stuck it out and waited, and they actually had the second showing. So we were able to get there, I think maybe half hour in advance and still get really good seats. And our kids are used to the one at Disneyland, and you and I have talked about it, right? How great the one at Disneyland is. But they did a really good job with this reboot recently of the Disney World one. And I love being able to sit, not having to stand at Disneyland and try and get a good spot and hold your spot and crane your head to see everything. It's nice just to be able to sit and see the show. So it was a great day at Hollywood Studios for sure. And if you want, I can just keep going with the other parks real quick. I know that we have other stuff to get to, but
I just want to kind of build in something that you mentioned here that for folks, because we definitely have two different kinds of travelers, right? The folks who get to go often, that we have on the show a lot, like Zeebs last week, and he goes down quite a bit, and he's very casual, going around lounges and going to all these resorts. Like, there's definitely different kinds of trips we talk about every Monday, which is great. We've been doing this for years and years, and that's great to have. And we have folks that go down every few years, every 5 years, and you got to make the most of every minute while you're there. But what you said is super important for folks that don't get to go quite as often, is that if you are there rope drop to park closing, what you did though, because, like I do take a midday break and chill because I've been a bunch of times and I'm lucky there. But what you did though, you built in breaks by seeing the Frozen show, by seeing Indiana Jones, because what you're doing, you're off your feet, you're in air, because it's in August,
yes.
You're in a cooler spot, you're out of the sun, and you're chilling out, and you're having a meal at Woody's. Like, all those things that you're doing, you're getting off your feet, you're seeing the villain show, you're building in small breaks. You're not just standing out in the beating heat and just keep walking. And I think that's important to, if you're going to do rope drop to park close, make sure you have an ADR like midday and an air conditioned sit down restaurant. Do those air conditioned shows that are longer in the park, and just, make an effort to make sure you're doing that. Don't just do outdoor rides at the heat of the day. Like, you got to be cognizant of your plan, that you're going to get some time off your feet in AC and recover, because you can have breaks, but you can have breaks in the parks too.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that's great about Disney World is that they do provide a ton of indoor space, even if it's just a covered queue, right? I mean, something as simple as Rock and Roller Coaster, you're still outside, but you're covered, so you're in shade and you're away from the rain. But the thing that's great about Hollywood Studios is they do have all those shows, and so you can get in those shows, get in air conditioning, get off your feet, enjoy really well done shows. We didn't make it the Little Mermaid show. That's the only one we weren't able to go to, but it was just a great day. And like you said, when you wear down, you stop, you get something to eat, and we made it to ABC Commissary, and I will recommend that for the buffalo grilled cheese
Oh, there you go.
and the fact that you can get a soda and refill your soda.
Yes, there you go.
It's the best.
There's a couple reasons why I go there. That's the other one. Because
Coke Zero,
I am a
right?
big Coke
Just keep
Zero
going.
drinker.
You
Yeah.
can get Coke Zero over and over and over again. So
Telling you.
we lingered there for a while to take advantage of that.
There's three reasons: the buffalo chicken, the grilled cheese, the refills of Coke Zero, and they have a great background loop in that place. It's amazing.
yeah.
And that background loop rocks in that place. And the fake palm tree that's inside. I don't know what the
That's
story is
right.
with that. That's pretty sweet too. All right, so tell us about some of the other. Because you guys are killing it there at the studios. I'm pumped to get down there. You're getting me so excited for my trip. I'm like, except for the fact that I got to run 48 miles. Let's just forget that. But I'm ready to go to Walt Disney World. So tell us about some of the other highlights.
Yeah, I'll just talk about Magic Kingdom real quick. So we went there 2 days. That first day, we hit it hard again, got there at rope drop, hit Seven Doors Mine Train. We actually, that day, had an individual lightning lane to Tron at night. So we waited for Tron later that morning and didn't have to wait very long. And the kids loved Tron. They did such a good job with that. It was a lot of fun. And then, throughout the course of the day, we were able to kind of just bang out everything with Lightning Lane, hit all the favorites. We had that day, that first day at Magic Kingdom, we took the advice of many people on the show and on the Discord. We went to lunch at Steakhouse 71. We took the monorail from Magic Kingdom to Contemporary and just were able to have this really nice, relaxing lunch at Steakhouse 71. That's after getting up super early in the morning, grabbing some, quick service or snacks at the Magic Kingdom for breakfast. But we were ready by lunchtime to sit down and have a good meal. And it was great. And our server, her name was Skippy. She was outstanding, really took good care of us. Talked to my daughter about being an educator and even brought her a free dessert, which was an amazing pixie dust moment for her.
All teachers deserve free dessert. I'm just saying it should happen. It should be a rule, but good on Skippy.
We all shared the chocolate cake, and then my daughter got the free dessert, and so we all were able to really enjoy that. But and then I will tell you, and I know that you haven't seen Starlight yet, but that night we really wanted to do both Happily Ever After and Starlight, so we were able to get in the main courtyard in front of the castle. We actually did the second Starlight Parade, which I'd recommend as well. But for Happily Ever After, we thought, oh man, this is so packed, because people will get in there and watch the parade, and we're like, there's no space. But then once the parade ended, we're able to kind of move forward and in and see Happily Ever After. And it was fantastic. That's got to be one of the best fireworks shows I've seen in a Disney park. And it gave us all the feels. It was just awesome. And then after that, we were able to head over to Frontierland, where you and Scotty have recommended. And we actually got a great spot for Starlight and saw that with very little crowds that night. And it was a great show. So that was a marathon long day, that first day at Magic Kingdom. But we had a great time. We had so much fun. We hit everything we wanted to hit and had a lot of fun.
I love that you guys are doing this, though. I mean, obviously your family's in shape, you're active, you're athletic and stuff. And like when you get home, though, like you have these memories forever of like that you're grinding through the day and you made the memories. Like that is part of the adventure, because we still talk about the days. I mean, Paige is 29 now. She'll be 30 this coming next year, and we still talk about when she was 6 or 7. And back in the day, the Magic Kingdom would close at midnight, and they'd have those extra magic hours in the evening that were like 3 hours extra. We stayed one night in the Magic Kingdom until 3 a.m.
Oh, wow.
We have a picture of the clock like at 2:57 a.m. as we're walking down Main Street to go to the bus at Pop Century, and she was only like 7 or 8, but we grinded it out, and that was one of the best. I mean, we were we were so loopy because we were so tired. I mean, we didn't stay there the whole day. Don't get me wrong. Like we had gone back and taken naps and went back at like 8 or something. But we just had so much time just having fun on a summer night, just Pam, Paige, and I was before Mallory. And yeah, it's one of those things like you have that time, you just grind through and have a good time and just make as many members. I got to see Starlight. That's my problem though with these race weekends. Heck, you got to be on a bus at like 3:00 in the morning. It makes it really hard to see. It makes it really hard to see a parade at 10. That's why I haven't seen.
Yeah, hopefully you can see it. Maybe it's one of your last days, or I'm not sure where you're going the day of the marathon, but hopefully like it's a celebration you can do it. But the other thing I'd mentioned too, and you just reminded me as you were describing that, is we were there at the park so late that by the time we got out, there really wasn't a big wait for the buses. We were able to go to the bus station, and there was a bus there waiting for us to hop on to pop. And so we didn't deal with the major crowds that you sometimes get into when you leave, when everyone else leaves the park and you're in long lines to get back to your resort. So even though we stayed a little bit longer and we were probably even more wiped out than we would have been, it was nice to be able to get on an air conditioned, relatively empty bus and go back to pop that night.
Right. It's almost like a net gain because instead of waiting in that long line for the bus, you're having fun and doing something and not because sometimes I think it's just hotter waiting in the masses at the bus corral than, just strolling down and taking your time to get to the buses. All right. So we'll save Epcot here, but how about Animal Kingdom? What were some highlights over there?
Yeah. So we saved Animal Kingdom for our last day. So we had to fly out that night at 7:00, and I debated on doing Animal Kingdom earlier in the week, but given kind of the state of Animal Kingdom right now, we decided to hit it on our last day, and it actually worked out really, really well. We did not get a multi-pass lightning lane for that day. My wife and I had done Animal Kingdom the same way last year. And if you rope drop Animal Kingdom and hit stuff really early in the day, you can actually get a lot of stuff done earlier in the day. I'm not saying don't get multi-pass lightning lane. For us, it worked because what we did end up doing is getting the individual lightning lane for Flight of Passage. We absolutely love that ride, and we wanted to get on at least twice. So we rope dropped that ride in the morning and just went with the masses. It's just one big long line, right? You just follow everyone. It feels like there's a lot of people, but you just walk through the queue, right? Yeah. So it's just a matter of getting through the queue and getting to the ride. So I think maybe, and we have early entry. So between that, we're able to get on the ride before the park even opened to the general public. And then we went straight on Navi River Journey, which that gets a long line later in the day, but there was no wait for that as well. So we were able to get on both of those. And then we had a lightning lane, I think 45 minutes later, again for Flight of Passage to get on that twice. So we got on the Safari a couple times. We got on Expedition Everest several times. I think we went all together once and then did single rider just to get on it as many times as we needed to. And then Mike, any guesses as to what our last ride before we left the park was at Animal Kingdom? It's leaving soon.
Oh, Dinosaur. Yes.
So our last ride of the trip entirely was Dinosaur. And we don't have the same.
Are you guys fans of Dinosaur, or are you like iffy? Because some people, I mean, it's like I love Dinosaur, but I like Indy out at Disneyland too. I like Indy better, but I like Dinosaur too.
So we don't have the same. Yeah, we don't have the same nostalgic pull as it would be for you and others who go to Walt Disney World often in the last 20 years or so, and have that nostalgia towards Dinosaur. But we still like it. I particularly really like it. I think it's a lot of fun. And so it was fun to go on it one last time. And I am excited that it is turning into Indy, and especially that it's something different, right, than Anaheim. So you have two different versions of Indy at each coast. So you're not replicating something, and it makes the visits to each side of the country that much more interesting to have a different Indy ride. But yeah, it was fun to end our trip on Dinosaur, knowing it was the last time to be able to ride it.
I agree. It's one of those things like when I'm on an attraction that I know it's going to be the last experience, so like the last time I was on Great Movie Ride, or last time I was, this or that, it's like a sensory I'm overstimulated because I'm always like, I just look around, even though I tell myself like, all these folks on the internet now document everything so well. I'll be able to go on YouTube and, Martin's vids and all these things. Like I'll have, a 180 or 360 degree experience of all this. And, if I had like a Vision Pro or something someday, whenever they don't cost $1 million, I'll just be able to look around and see the whole thing again in virtual reality. But, it's not like being there the last time. So I feel you. I do love Dinosaur, but I'm excited that it is going to be Indy. But I love Indy out of Disneyland. Now, real quick though, you are kind of a Disneyland family. So do you guys catch yourselves a lot making the comparisons and talking about that throughout the trip?
Yeah, we do. And I think that's normal for any Disney fan to make comparisons. But we also love the Disney parks so much that we appreciate the uniqueness of each resort, and for what they have, right? And the fact that, at Disney World, you're in the bubble. I think that's one of the reasons why we love going to Disney World. Um, we can't go often, right? Because of our situation and everything. But when we do go, we love taking advantage of being in the bubble, staying on site and doing all that. But we do compare. I mean, it's interesting the fact that the track for Dinosaur is the exact same track for Indy. And I try and find myself thinking at certain points in Dinosaur where I would be if I was on Indiana Jones. You can't help but think that. But the way they've built those rides, there's no way. I mean, Dinosaur's pitch black all the time, so it's really hard to say, okay, now we're crossing the bridge in Indy and all that. But it is fun to compare. And the thing that's great is that each resort, Disneyland and Disney World, offers some unique experiences that make it like Disneyland. We love Cars Land. We think it's so cool and so unique. And even though they're building a Cars Land Magic Kingdom, it's going to be, pretty different from what we have in Anaheim. So we love going to both. It's great.
What's funny is, because you bring that up, is the bubble aspect of Walt Disney World, which I totally get because mostly the transportation systems, right? You got the boats, you got the monorails, you got, the Skyliner, you got all that, which I love. I'm all about the transportation systems. But for years and years and years, I didn't go to Disneyland. I didn't get out there till 2022. And one of the reasons was, I thought, this is, and I saw the pictures, I saw the, just everything, that Disneyland's right on a road in Anaheim, like Six Flags and all this. But, I've been there 4 or 5 times now, and I've even stayed at Good Neighbor hotels. I've stayed at the Disneyland Hotel a few times, and I've stayed at the Howard Johnson. I've stayed at the Grand Legacy. I've stayed at a couple other places. And even when I'm at a Good Neighbor hotel, I don't feel like it's that terribly like non-bubble-ish. Like,
true.
I'm still kind of there, even when I'm at the Howard Johnson, because I just walk down the street. I mean, there's a Denny's, there's a Panera, it is a lot more shocking than being at Walt Disney World. I'll give you that. You don't walk past the McDonald's and, the guy that's got a parrot on his shoulder right at the stoplight as you cross. That's a little weird. But like once you get past him and you go into the Disneyland sign, like, by the security, then it is a bubble. Like, cause you got downtown Disney and you got the hotels and you got the parks and you're fine. And you can walk back to your hotel in like 10 minutes. So the trade-off is that I can walk back to my hotel in 10 minutes, where at Walt Disney World, if I want to catch a bus back to Pop Century and back, I'm talking an hour, like in transportation time. So it's weird because the perspectives are kind of different, right? I've fallen in love with Disneyland because of how quaint it is and the nostalgia of the place and just how easy everything is. Like with a park hopper, I can just ride any of the attractions at any of the 2 parks with Lightning Lane. And I feel like I'm a rock star. I can do anything at any time. Like I can always just walk on a ride, where it's a little bit more complex at Walt Disney World because everything is because of the scale. I don't know. Do you guys, but that's probably like why, but it's great to have 2 different experiences, right? But it's more exhausting at Walt Disney World in a way.
It is. And you bring up some really good points. And so I think because like you said, I think when you fell in love with Disney World and you went there so many times, from the early aughts to, the time you went to Disneyland, when you went to Disneyland, it was incredibly different and new and exciting. That's kind of us. Right.
Right. It's so funny because we're on the opposite side. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. But you bring up some really good points at Disneyland. And even though you're not really staying, like we'll stay like at a Hyatt house or a Spring Hill or something like that. You still get the same energy when you're there at breakfast in the morning. Mm-hmm. I mean, everyone's headed to the parks, right? It's not that much different than staying at a Disney World Resort hotel and everyone's getting ready to head to a park. So you still get that same energy. Everyone's happy. Everyone's excited. And, the parks still loom over Harbor Boulevard, mm-hmm. even though you're not necessarily on quote unquote Disney property. And so we love the proximity of the parks at Disneyland. We love the fact that they're right across the Esplanade from each other. We love the fact that we can walk to or from our hotel. You bring up some good points. When we go to Disney World, it's much more deliberate in how we plan out, okay, this day we're going to, go to this park and take the Skyliner to this restaurant and then go back to our hotel and everything. It's more planned that way. And I don't think being less spontaneous is like for something like for a family like us that doesn't get to Disney World often. And that trip, there's spontaneous elements of it once we're in the parks and stuff, but there's an element where you are planning a lot in advance to make sure you get everything that you want
Agreed.
to get.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it made the trip any less fun. But when we go to Disneyland, it's we're used to it. We know the drill. We know how to do it. We know, what rides are going to get busy this time and how to use the lightning lanes and everything like that. And so when we're experts that way, and it can be maybe a little more spontaneous when we're at Disneyland. But I think, like you said, each experience is great in its own way.
No,
and I feel fortunate that we've been able to do both. So.
No, I'm with you. Same here. I think, though, you do have to be a little bit more intentional in your trips with
Yes.
Walt Disney World, just because, like you say, you can't walk from the Magic Kingdom to Epcot. Even though there's a monorail that connects the two, there's a 45-minute cost of transport time. I mean, it seems like it's so simple to get from Epcot to the Magic Kingdom because you just say there's a monorail between the two, but it takes time. Like, there's a lot of time. It's not a magic portal. It's fun to get between the two. Don't get me wrong. I like the whole transportation system, but everything takes time, and you need plans, though. You got to have a plan. Like, what are you going to do? So, but that is what the fun of it is. But you can be more spontaneous. You can kind of arrive at Disneyland with Lightning Lane Multipass and a park hopper and just roll.
Now, one of these times, my wife and I have talked about going to Disney World and staying for an extended period of time where we're able to be a little more spontaneous, and we're able to take advantage of the resorts and take advantage of off days and things like that. Because a lot of the trip reports I hear from people that go there very often are able to do that. And they're able to have this day, we just relaxed and enjoyed this, went to this resort and did this and that. And obviously that wasn't us this trip. But I think in the future, when we visit Disney World, perhaps future trips will be a little more relaxed and more spontaneous than they were this time.
I agree. I love this conversation because there's so many ways you could do a Disney vacation, and it's so fun to hear different perspectives from where you are and where you've had your background. So tell us about that Epcot After Hours event, though, because that's something I have not experienced.
Yeah, you bet. So just real quick, that day was Thursday, and it actually worked out really, really well because we did not plan on doing a park that day at all. And we slept in, which, given how intense our trip was, we needed it, right? We needed to sleep in. And so we were able to sleep in, and I actually was able to get an ADR at Topolino's for a very late breakfast that day. It's something that I was hoping to get, and I was able to get it on our 60 days out. And this was probably one of the best Disney meals I've ever had.
Everybody says that. I have not done the breakfast there. Oh my gosh,
probably the best character breakfast for sure, but one of the best meals I've ever had.
Wow.
It was fantastic.
That's amazing. Yeah,
it was great.
Scott loves it.
Our server was fantastic. A lot of us got the steak and eggs. I won't go into a lot of detail, but she was great. And we're able to try a sour cream waffle as a side with our steak and eggs. And so I feel like, a lot of people, I was a little worried because I'm like, should we get a buffet where you can just eat all you can eat? Would there be enough food if we did this? Because it's not a buffet. And we had plenty to eat. And so it was worth our money. It was worth our time. We had the great view up there. So it was a great way to kind of start that day. And then we really took it easy that afternoon. We went swimming, went to Primo Piatto again. And then the great thing about the after hours event, so the actual event itself, I believe, is from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. But they let you enter the park at 7 p.m. So you don't, and you have a wristband, but you're able to enjoy the park and do anything you'd want to do from 7 p.m. on. And then once they clear everyone out, then obviously, you start hitting the rides and going multiple times. So we got there at 7. I wasn't sure if Test Track was going to be included in the ride roster for after hours because it just opened up. So we went straight there and got on it. And I'm glad we did because they didn't open it up for after hours. So we did the single rider line, got on Test Track 3.0. And I would recommend you try doing that when you're at Marathon Weekend. It's awesome.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm totally doing that. I love Test Track, and I haven't been on it yet. Yeah,
we had a lot of fun. Then the kids went on Soarin'. We got some food just to carry us over, and we watched Luminous, which I love. I think they do a great show with fireworks there at Epcot. So, and then immediately after Luminous is over is basically when our event And I situated us right there, kind of at the base of World Celebration. Gosh, I forget the names now, of World Showcase, there by Future World, I'll call it. So as soon as the fireworks were over, we beelined it over to Guardians of the Galaxy and showed them our wristband. And we got in line, and we were able to get on Guardians through the course of after hours. We were able to get on it 5 times.
Whoa, are you kidding me? That's crazy.
No, and obviously this was a high priority for us. The kids were so excited to ride Guardians of the Galaxy. They hadn't been on it before. We don't come to Disney World very often, so we really want to take advantage of that time. And so we got on it 5 times. My kids loved it. I think it's probably their favorite ride in any Disney park. They loved it that much. And so we really had a blast riding that. We got on Frozen a couple of times, got on Remy once. And so the thing that's a little bit tricky with after hours at Epcot is that park is so huge.
That's what I was just thinking, like okay, wait a second. Because this is like 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning. If you did Guardians 5 times, Frozen a couple, and Remy, you guys need to sign up for Run Disney races like all the time, because you guys be breaking the tape. Because you guys were cooking.
And we had time to get popcorn, ice cream, and drinks. So I will tell you this. I think the first time we got on Guardians, we got on it. I think we finished it before after hours officially began. So we had one time done before 10 o'clock. But it is spread out. Now, I have heard, obviously, the other 2 places that do it are Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios, and they're probably easier to get around to their attractions there. So that's one thing that might be a negative with Epcot. But the fact that we really wanted to ride Guardians a lot, it ended up being totally worth the investment we made in that. We had so much fun. It wasn't very crowded. Everyone was in a good mood. They had music, they had characters, and we just had a great time. It was great. And we loved everything we did. We loved the free food. And it's something that if you do a trip like ours and you want to take a day off, but then still enjoy something that night, it's a great way to sleep in, have a nice character meal or swim, and then still have a park that night. Completely different experience than our other park days, but well worth it.
That's exactly how you do a hard ticket event day, right? That's your catch up day. That's your rest day. That's your pool day. That's your Disney Springs day. A lot of times, that's how you do it. You chill out during the day, and then but you go in early if you can. Like, if it's Mickey's Halloween party or Christmas party, go in at 4 o'clock, take advantage of those first 3 hours. You're entitled to them, use them, and kind of ease your way. That once the party kicks in, take advantage of the party only things and, see the shows, see the fireworks and all that, get the candy, get the cookies. But man, that sounds like you guys see, again, this is where it gets back to, though, having a plan. Like, you had a plan where a lot of people were probably showing up to the event and like, okay, what are we going to do now? And you know what, right. Like when you only think about it, you have 180 minutes. Like when you're sitting there you have 180 minutes, that small of a quantity of time, and you're like, what are we going to do next? Like tick, 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 tick. It's going to be over before you know it. But you guys maximized your time.
Yep. We kind of planned it out. We were going to try and get to Frozen then, and then Remy, and then get treats. And so we had an idea, and the good thing is we'd hit Guardians, I think at that point 3 or 4 times. We ended with Guardians. So after we'd hit Guardians enough, we're like, okay, let's go hit some other attractions, get some food, and then we'll end with Guardians. And as long as I think we're in the Guardians line by, I think, 12:35 a.m., we were going to get in before the event closed. So it worked out really good. But we took as much advantage of everything that we could possible to get as much out of it as we could. It was worth it. It was fun.
I love this. This is such a great trip for this week. I mean, Christmas week, and hearing about this, I mean, the excitement that you guys got to have this, make these memories together. So as we wrap the show, and, kind of a pun intended there, for Christmas week here, any final memories from this trip? I mean, obviously great choice on the present, because you're going to be talking about this as a family for years to come. And again, I think a lot of times, always making the memories is a lot better than the tangible gift that a lot of people will forget after a week or a month. A lot of times those things are forgotten. But any last tips or stories from the trip that you'd like to share before we get out of here and get everybody ready for Santa here later this week?
Yeah, I'll just give a shout out to the, to the overall experience of being in a Disney park, and especially to the cast members that works so hard to make it a good experience for you. Rarely do we ever run into anyone that we had a bad interaction with. The cast members were phenomenal. They were so good. And, just an example, Skippy at Steakhouse 71, striking up a conversation with my daughter and telling her how much she appreciates the work she's doing as a school teacher. But if I look at, all of our experiences and kind of the one that epitomizes it and really makes me appreciate that we had this experience, but also makes me appreciate the fact that we love going to Disney and having these experiences, is just being with my family when we're there in front of the castle watching Happily Ever After. I mean, I looked over, and you and I have the same weakness for when they start playing Go the Distance.
Yeah, there's too much going on right now. Don't bring that up.
I look around. I'm with my family. Tinkerbell starts flying. We start cheering. And I'm like, a lot of people don't get why we love Disney the way we, all your listeners, everyone on the Discord. It's hard for us to put into words when someone's like, you guys are going to Disney again? Really? I go, there's something intangible that's really, really difficult to describe to people about the moments that you have when you're there that, are better than, it's just hard to really put into words how special it is. And so in that moment, we're at Magic Kingdom, we're at Happily Ever After, and I'm having that moment. I'm looking around at my wife and my kids. I'm like, this is all worth it. And this is why we keep coming back. It's why we keep doing it again. And I appreciate you and Pam and Ricky and Scott, because I think Pam mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Your podcast it really exudes positivity and positive vibes. And that's, I think, a reason why all of us keep coming back so often, is because of the positive vibes it gives us. And even if I don't have a Disney trip planned, I can listen to it, every week and feel like I'm transported back there, right? To have those same feelings that I had with my family there in front of the castle at Happily Ever After. But so thank you to you and the crew for making such special memories every week, even when we're not there, right? As we think back at the trips we've had or the trips we have planned. But yeah, that moment there in front of the castle, Mike, kind of epitomizes what was great about our trip and great about going to Disney Park and how that can't be replicated anywhere else. So,
well, Andrew, let me just thank you, because I and all of our listeners, that I've said this a few times on the show. Doing this podcast is my favorite thing every week. I mean, this is, some guys play golf, some guys go, some of my friends go hunting. They all have their hobbies, right? And when I get to come down in here and close the door and get to get on with friends like you, and the Monday shows are so awesome, because every week I get to talk to a new friend, or, that you've been on the show before. I get to reconnect with some friends I've met, over the years. Because, when I started this, it wasn't, it was always somebody new, but now it's been friends that I've met before and, reconnecting with. But sometimes it's Pam, Ricky, and Scott, on the Wednesday and Friday shows. But every Monday I get to hear somebody's awesome trip. And I get to learn every time we do a show. I learn little tips and tricks myself, and I do this for a living, but everybody's trips are so dynamic and different and special, in that we get to share these trips with our audience of thousands and thousands of people all over the world. Literally. I mean, we have my friend Mel down in Australia. She's so sweet. She always sends me little Tim Tams every Christmas. I just got them, and I had to keep them away from Mallory, because we both love these little cookies that she sends.
Tim Tams are awesome.
Oh my gosh, they're so good. I already hit them because Mallory heard the thing opening up, because they make so much noise when you pop them open. She says, I heard the Tim Tams. I'm like, oh, stop. She's like, where'd you hide them? Like, I'm not telling you, because I hit them. But I did finally give in. But, we have listeners all over the world, and we all have this common love of Disney, but the folks come on every Monday to share their trips, and that we get to kind of listen to them. And because, like you talking about Pop Century reminds me of being at Pop Century with Pam and Paige and Mallory, because we were there. We stood next to Mr. Potato Head and Mrs. Potato Head, and, we walked around the 80s. We swam in that computer pool. We made our memories there, and it was fun. But hearing your perspective on things from being kind of a West Coast Disneyland based family to, it's like the opposite of what I had, but I love learning that perspective, and it's so fun. So I sure appreciate it. We're always going to be positive, because the way I see this whole thing is, personally, I'm so lucky that when we started doing this in 2008, somebody took the time to listen to our show. We've got a lot of people that did at this point. I'm still eternally grateful for every person that takes the time every week to listen to our show, but that we get to do this it blows me away. And I'll always be grateful that people take the time to come on every Monday and share their trips, and that people take the time to download I see our numbers and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of us that like Disney. And I appreciate people taking the time out of their days to listen to us. So Andrew, I appreciate you. And here's the thing though. I don't know what you're going to do this year under the tree to top this. That's the problem. Your kids are going to be.
Neither do we. There's no way we could have topped this. So it's going to go back to the norm probably.
It's going to be a tennis racket or something, or a pair of shoes.
Yeah. But it gave us some good ideas for the future. Let's put it that way.
I know you got to be careful. I know it's so awesome. But hey, I appreciate talking to you. Go Cougs, by the way. I'll be rooting for you guys. Sorry if there's
Thanks. We got the Alamo Bowl coming up. We'll play Georgia Tech. It should be a good matchup. I forget, who does Mizzou play?
We play Virginia, and
that'll be a good game as well.
Well, we had a lot of people opting out, and have found out a lot of our friends have had surgery and are not going to be playing. So you know how bowl season is. This is all. Our offensive coordinator is now the head coach of Wazoo. So, it's one of those things. We'll see if we have enough players left by the time we get to December 27th. But
it's crazy now.
We'll do what we can. We'll do what we can. We'll see. It's a whole mess right now. But we'll still cheer them on, whoever shows up in the black and gold. That's just how I am.
Go Tigers, go Cougars.
Exactly. Cosmo, we'll cheer for Cosmo if he's out there. We'll cheer for Truman. I mean, if that's all that's left, that's all we'll have. But I appreciate it. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you, and it's so good to reconnect.
Thanks, Mike. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to you. And thanks again for having me on.
Anytime. All right. Don't forget, today's podcast always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan your next Disney adventure for no additional cost to you. Check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you do that online shopping. If you're doing it for the holiday season, it's crunch time. Check it out today over at over at beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so much to our Patreon supporters. You guys keep us on the air. It really does make a difference in everything we do. It's just $5 a month. And for that support, you get a bonus show every week called Mike in the Midwest. Come over this week. We'd sure love to have you at patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. You can follow me on the social media at BeOurGuestMike. That's on Instagram, x.com, and Threads. And we will have a live show this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or Twitch. Scott will join me. We'll take your calls, and we'll have that kind of in between Christmas and New Year's live call-in show. We'll talk Disney with you. All right, so that's going to do it. We'll be back again on Wednesday, which is Christmas Eve, because you know what that means. It's Christmas Eve in the BOGP studios. It's time for the big Christmas gift exchange. Pam, Ricky, Scott, and myself exchanging those gifts in the studio. I know it's corny, but we've been doing it for over 10 years. So why stop now? So come on back for that. Take that show. Mallory makes us listen to it every year as we travel to Christmas Eve at the in-laws. So that's why really we have to do it, because this is the one show of the year that she listens to, the goofy gifts that we give each other. So, she's my girl. And so I have to do that show for her. So I hope you guys enjoy it too. So we're going to do that for you on Wednesday for Christmas Eve. So come on back for that. We'll push listener questions, I guess, to Friday or do some other topic. It's Christmas week. It can be goofy. So we'll be back with you again on Wednesday. So until then, you guys have a great week. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.